Good morning. And beloved heretics, welcome this morning to our service. I'm Reverend Rose Eddington, one of the trio leading today's service. And I think it's quite appropriate to acknowledge that this has really been quite a week. Many of us are feeling anxious, I know I am, about this new federal administration that came into effect on Monday. So we know that we beloved heretics need one another. Choice is at the root of the word heresy. As Unitarian Universalists, we are called by our faith to be a diverse, multicultural, beloved community where all people thrive. We will persist in choosing as heretics to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. In that spirit, I offer this land acknowledgement. Thank you, Rupert Ayton, for helping to inspire it. We occupy the ancestral homeland of the Lummi, Nooksack, and other Coast Salish peoples. We acknowledge our collective debt to these indigenous peoples who shared with us their veneration of this land and their labor without fair recompense. We recall the racism of Whatcom County, including Bellingham, in response to the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. We regret the gleeful expulsion event when all Chinese people in Bellingham and in Whatcom County, save one gentleman in Port Roberts, were forced to leave their homes, businesses, and jobs. And we respectfully acknowledge our debt to the enslaved people, primarily of African descent, whose labor and suffering built and grew the economy and infrastructure of this nation, that refused, and in some cases continues to refuse, to recognize their humanity. Recognizing these sins against humanity, based on the economic theft that still continues, we acknowledge the need for reparative justice and for a land that embraces a beloved community of full citizenship rights and opportunities for all people. And we need to dream of this and also make it reality. And we will hear about the Dream Keeper as our prelude.
Dream keeper, dream keeper, dream keeper, dream keeper, dream keeper. Give me all of your dreams, you dreamers. Bring me all of your heart melodies, that I may wrap them in a blue cloud cloth, away from the too rough fingers of the world. Dream keeper, dream keeper, dream keeper, dream keeper. Bring me all of your dreams, you dreamers. Bring me all of your dreams. Bring me all of your heart melodies, that I may wrap them in in a blue cloth, away from the too rough fingers of the world. Dream keeper, dream keeper,
Bring me all of your dreams, you dreamers.
bring me all of your dreams, you
Bring
dreamers.
me all of your heart melodies.
Bring me all of your heart's melodies, that I may wrap them in a blue cloud, away from the too rough fingers of the world. Dream keeper,
During the summer of 2020, in the midst of COVID, Mel and I packed up our lives in Charleston, West Virginia, and transitioned here to Bellingham. The Unitarian Universalist Association was also in a process of transitioning. Issues challenging the process of hiring regional staff led to the resignation of the UUA president in 2017. George Floyd's murder in May 2020 called us as people of faith to work on making our own cities and police departments less racist. And congregations, including this one, were considering adding an 8th principle to our first 7. We Bellingham UUs held meetings on adopting the 8th principle that stated we would affirm and promote beloved community as a spiritual practice. And we also participated in the UUA's Widening the Circle program that grew out of the 2017 staff blow-up, as they called it. It was a time of looking at ourselves as a predominantly white faith system and challenging ourselves to continue to strive to be multicultural, anti-racist, and anti-oppressive. Instead of adding an 8th principle, we Unitarian Universalists at our General Assembly, where every congregation has representation, adopted Article 2, which puts beloved community at the center. That was where this congregation, in voting on having an 8th principle, thought it belonged, and so we adopted our own covenant of beloved community. And I believe that covenant is on the front of your order of service. And I'd invite you to turn to it now, and let's read it together. We covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community through actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our station. Thank you. We were also including, beyond opening words, a little introduction about ourselves and some announcements. So, I think that after 4.5 years here, Mel and I don't need much of an introduction. We are ministers emeriti of the UU congregation in Charleston, West Virginia. But you may not know that in 1987, Mel was hired as an intentional change agent by the UUA to spearhead the association's anti-racism, anti-oppression, multicultural work, culminating in our association's adoption of the Journey Towards Wholeness, a program to make real the vision of beloved community at UUA headquarters and within all of our congregations. And in addition to parish ministry, I was heavily involved in West Virginia in environmental justice issues and continue finding ways to express my passion for a healthy earth. And Lucy, our third member of this trio today, is the program and volunteer director of the Whatcom County Interfaith Council. She's a fairly new member here. BeliefNet told her that she is UU, and so she checked us out. And we are delighted that here she is. She is passionate about beloved community. And the three of us have enjoyed putting this service together and having good discussions about the Unitarian Universalist Association and the role of Bellingham Unitarian Universalism. Lucy has studied the UUA's Mosaic Congregation resources, and she's instigated the Adult Religious Ed Beloved Community sessions that will be held during the 4 sessions of February after the service from noon to 1:30. The three of us will be facilitating the sessions, and Lucy will be downstairs in the social hall after the service, so you can see her to sign up. Paul, I believe you wanted to say something as well?
Good morning, I'm Reverend Paul Beckel. I see so many visitors here today, and welcome. I'm very excited. I know there's visitors as well on Zoom, so thank you for being here with us. We have coffee and conversation downstairs in our social hall every Sunday, so please join us. The best way to get to know Buff is by our actions, our interactions as beloved community. There will also be a table downstairs today from the chair of our Canvas Committee, encouraging people to come be canvassers. That's Lee, and she has a very simple pitch to encourage you to be a canvasser. And one last thing, the Refugee Action Team is asking for your help in furnishing an apartment for a Syrian family of 7, recently settled in Bellingham through World Relief in the last wave of refugees before the shutdown. Beds, lamps, microwave, couch, sheets, blankets, dressers are needed. Contact Ann Stevenson if you can help. And Ann, since not, all right, this isn't going to help. Contact Michael Barris. Please, will you be downstairs? Alrighty. Thanks.
And one final sort of announcement. Because we are part of an association of congregations, and that association cares about us, we wanted to just share a little bit that we received 3 letters from UUA staff this week assuring us that in these troubled times, they are here for us. Our Pacific Western Regional Lead, who is new to the job, Reverend Sunshine Jeremiah Wolf, closed their letter with these words: "In these trying times, we know that community matters. If you need us, we are here. Please reach out. May we continually hold love at the center." And UUA Executive Vice President Carrie McDonald writes, "We seek to be a sanctuary, a safe harbor in this tumultuous time for all people under the threat of oppression: immigrants, trans, non-binary, and intersex people, those needing reproductive care, those who are disabled, and many more." His letter includes the National Immigration Law Center's fact sheet, which gives concrete actions to take to limit accesses to church by immigration enforcement. And from our UUA President, Sophia Betancourt's letter: "Each and all of us is, in fact, a vital part of the fabric of this nation, deeply beloved and deserving of protection, safety, and belonging. I send love upon love to the interconnected family that we are for one another, knowing that none of us goes it alone in these destabilizing and complex times." So we have support from Boston all the way out here to the West Coast, from California to here, and we have support from one another. We are a beloved community. Can't tell she said. So as we get ready to sing, I think our tech wizards have a picture up of Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. The three of us believe that beloved community includes remembering those from the past who inspire us to keep on keeping on. So we will share with you who from the great beyond is with us today. And one of those is Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, and we're mentioning her because all of the tunes in our hymnal have a name. And the song we are going to sing, Oh, I Woke Up This Morning, is named after Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. In the time of slavery, she was born free in the slave state of Maryland and moved to Pennsylvania, where it was safer. A member of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, she also joined a Unitarian church in Philadelphia and was a bridge between the faith communities. She was an author and an excellent speaker. She was on the abolitionist and suffragist lecture circuits, and she was such an effective speaker that some of her critics couldn't believe that a black woman could be that articulate and intelligent. They speculated that maybe she was really a white woman in blackface, or even a white male dressed as a black woman. She and Unitarian Susan B. Anthony were both outstanding lecturers of their day, sometimes traveling together across the country for voting rights and the end of slavery. But what particularly inspires me about Frances Ellen was her dedication to equality and freedom in all aspects of her life, including what she wore. She refused to wear slave cotton. So I don't know how she even found the clothes to dress herself in those days, but she did. And just an interesting dynamic between Frances Ellen Watkins Harper and Susan B. Anthony was that Susan B. Anthony's father owned a textile mill where he turned slave-grown cotton into cloth. Watkins Harper's choice of wearing free clothing just constantly inspires me to try to be more consistent in making choices, whether it be from finding alternatives to plastic to now choosing what businesses I will support with my purchases, as many of them are ending their DEI initiatives. I tell myself, if she could find free cotton, I can find sustainable alternatives in my everyday life. And now, stand as you are willing, able, and in the Spirit. Let us sing, Oh, I Woke Up This Morning, number 153. And it's up there too, right? Yes.
Stay
For our chalice lighting this morning, we have chosen words from Paul Robeson, African-American activist, singer, actor, and target of the House Un-American Activities Committee, which tried to destroy his livelihood. His passport was revoked, so he could no longer give concerts internationally. And at that time, a passport was not needed to get into Canada, but he was not allowed to cross the border to give a concert in Vancouver. So, before a crowd of 35,000 to 40,000 people, he gave his concert at the Peace Arch in May 1952. Please join Mel as we read his words together.
The Peace Arch is a space of sanctuary. So he could stand there and sing and be living truth. It's in our neighborhood. I shall take my voice wherever there are those who want to hear the melody of freedom, or the words that might inspire hope and courage in the face of despair and fear. My weapons are peaceful, for it is only by peace that peace can be attained. The song of freedom must prevail. I would invite Lucy to come.
Hi. Let's read our covenant, or say it. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life. Celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant. And now we welcome our Children's Religious Education Director, Liz Epperson, with the broken chalice.
Okay. Can I get all the kids coming up here? Like around microphone. Microphone? Okay. I can hold it. Ooh, I get a microphone. Okay. Hi, can I get all the kids up here? Okay, Liz is going to show you a really cool plate, so you can sit down, because this might take like 2 minutes. And sitting is more comfy. Hi, okay, so Liz is going to show you something really cool, okay?
Hi, Lucy. Hi, kids.
Hi.
I was so excited to show you this bowl, but it broke on the way here this morning, and now I'm feeling upset. Can we try to fix it, Lucy?
Well, I didn't break it, so...
Well, I know you didn't break it, but can you help me fix it anyway?
But I need you to know, like, I'm a good person. I don't break plates. Like, no, I don't break plates, so...
It's important to me that we figure out how to fix this bowl because it means a lot to me.
But I didn't break it, so...
Maybe some of you have some ideas about how I can fix the bowl? Tora? I could use glue. Good idea. Tristan? Oh, I could ask someone else. Lucy here doesn't seem like she wants to help. Anyone think maybe a piece of chewing gum could be fun? Could we fix it with gum? Yeah, Tristan knows what's up. But I actually have an idea. It's called kintsugi.
What's kintsugi?
It is the ancient Japanese art of repairing pots and bowls that are broken. They actually use gold in the cracks to highlight the beauty of the imperfections.
Oh, that's pretty cool. It's kind of like repairing friendships and relationships and stuff because you can see where it got stronger.
Oh, yeah, that is true. When our friendships start to fall apart or we have a fight with a friend and we work it out, I feel like my friendships are stronger with those people. And that's kind of like it is with these bowls. The gold reminds us over and over again that that the pot was rebuilt stronger and more beautiful than it was before. And that's what healing is about.
So what I'm hearing is we don't want to hide the broken parts. We can show them.
Yep, it's important that we remember the broken parts. Lucy, do you want to help me fix this bowl?
Okay, I guess.
Thank you, everybody. We can sing our song.
Our meditation is from Howard Thurman. He was a mystic, a minister, co-founder of the first intentionally interracial congregation in the United States, the Church for the Fellowship of All People in San Francisco. He was influential to us Unitarian Universalists. He spoke at a Ware lecture. I am not sure how many decades ago it was, but he was on part of the Racial Equity Commission that the UUA put together. He visited Gandhi in India and came to believe that nonviolent resistance was the best way to end racism. He was a key influence on Martin Luther King Jr. and his practice of nonviolent confrontation. We bring Thurman's calm, steadying center for these times to this meditation. So I invite you to just take a breath, relax, be comfortable. How good it is to center down, to sit quietly and see oneself pass by. The streets of our minds seethe with endless traffic. Our spirits resound with clashing, with noisy silences, while something deep within hungers and thirsts for the still moment and the resting lull. With full intensity, we seek a fresh sense of order in our living, a direction, a strong, sure purpose that will structure our confusion and bring meaning to our chaos. We look at ourselves in this waiting moment, the kinds of people we are. The questions persist. What are we doing with our lives? What are the motives that order our days? What is the end of our doings? Where are we trying to go? Where do we put the emptiness, and where are our values focused? For what end do we make sacrifices? Where is my treasure, and what do I love most in life? What do I hate most in life, and to what am I true? Over and over, the questions beat upon the waiting moment. As we listen, floating up through all of the jangling echoes of our turbulence, there comes a sound of another kind, a deeper note which only the stillness of the heart makes clear. It moves directly to the core of our being. Our questions are answered. Our spirits refreshed, and we move back into the traffic of our daily round with the peace of the eternal in our step. How good it is to center down. Amen. Move over here. beloved community is relationship. So instead of a typical type sermon, we're going to have a conversation, and you all can listen in.
Who's going to open up?
Hello? I guess I will. Is this working? I don't think so.
Yeah.
No? Hello? Yay! Thank you, Walt. I will start. Let's start with why we're here. Why are we here today? And I'm nervous. And I cried, and even though I knew what was coming.
So why are we here?
Why
this
are we
morning?
here? Yeah.
Well, because this crazy woman named Lucy Kesterson said, you know, we really need to talk more about beloved community, and I'm having trouble finding some more information about it. And I think we should do a service. And so I'm here because I agreed to help lead this service. Why are you here, Mel?
Oh, because these two white women said to me that I should show up. And they put me in the middle.
Absolutely.
Which is the way my life has been.
You always
That-
feel like you're in the middle?
Often I'm in the middle of the reality of life. And this is a Janus time. We're in January. And it's the time in which we are both looking forward and many people say looking back, but what we're doing is looking beneath back to understand it. You can't know when you're there in the present that becomes the past what it really teaches you unless you can understand it by engaging it back. That's what we've tried to do. That's what my work has been for the UUA, is to help this faith be able to look behind itself and its development and its messages and its existence, and to recognize the reality that we have been, as all white institutions have been, constructed out of a framework of whiteness and primacy and male dominance that shaped this nation. And that's not the world that beloved community can exist in. So Lucy was brave enough to start asking us questions.
Yeah, so I got here on Pride Day, and it was amazing. We had the service began with this incredible land acknowledgement that was angry and demanded action. And I was stirred because I'd never heard that in a land acknowledgement before. And then we heard the stories from our members in the congregation of their experiences as LGBTQ or queer people, whichever is preferred. And that was stirring as well, their testimony. And I felt like I had found my community, just that first service. I felt like I'd found a place where I felt safe, a place that was a sanctuary for me, personally and spiritually. And then I took the tour afterwards to get to learn more about Buff. And in the tour, I was told that we have a BLM action team. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's great. I want to be involved in that.
And so I asked around, like, how do I get involved in that? Oh, I don't know, but maybe you can talk to David or Rupert. Oh, okay. Then I was introduced to David and Rupert, and that was cool. And I got involved.
There are members of the Black Lives Matter committee, right?
Yes, they are members, very active members who do some amazing things in our community and here at Buff, in the Black Lives Matter committee. In fact, there's a really awesome thing in the community on Saturday that's free, that's going to be fun, and that our Black Lives Matter committee is part of the hosting group, so please go. You can find more about that later. But and one thing I noticed, though, as I came to Buff every week and loved it here and immediately wanted to be a member, was that a couple of things. One, we had people of color come to the service for the first time, and a few people stayed, and most people didn't come back. Two, the only BIPOC person who came up front here in the first 5 months was Ben. And I thought, well, gee, what's going on there? And in our Black Lives Matter group, we were talking about the religious education we were going to do for February. And one of the things that came to mind was maybe we need a lead-in. So January 26th, maybe we can do the service on January 26th. And I talked to Paul, and Paul said, yeah, sure, that sounds great. And we penciled it in. Because I had found a service on the UUA website that stemmed from the 2017 blow-up, did you call it? Where UUA had made some poor choices with the black leadership within UUA. And so I found this service, and I thought, this would be cool. And I brought it to our group, and they went, yeah, sure, go for it. And as I worked on it, I was really not sure what to do, because the service was about centering black voices. And as a white person, I didn't want to demand that black people come up here and lead things. So I asked Walt back there, hi Walt, what I should do. And he said, invite people. Okay, I can invite people. But oh my gosh, was I intimidated, because Mel and Rose are really cool and really accomplished.
Which surprised me. I feel about as intimidating as, I don't know, a gnat or something.
And then we started having conversations, and along the way, we decided, to my surprise, that we were going to have a conversation. And in that week after that decision, I panicked because I had not anticipated myself being up here. It wasn't supposed to be a white person up here. We were lifting up black voices. What am I doing up here? And I had to check myself. I had to check my own whiteness in that moment of putting my idea of what I thought should happen instead of listening to the walls, as Mel calls it, and realizing that it's not up to me, it's up to all of us. And it is important that as a white person, I stand up and be part of the solution and part of the action. I need to be here. We all have mics, yay.
And that's why I am here. Because I didn't know Lucy. I heard about her. Other people said, oh, you got to meet this good person. And then I saw her online. And to be honest, I thought she was a person of color because she looks like my mom. She looks like a lot of folks in my congregation that I grew up with. And she talked like she actually was a person of color in terms of her understanding. And I knew that in my heart and my soul. And so we bonded because of her authentic self, which she offered, and without apology. And I said, I can trust this woman in the same way I have been able to trust this woman for 54, 55 years. And that together, we know what it means to be a multicultural, multiracial, anti-racist, anti-oppressive, multicultural for all living reality. So it's doable. It's doable. And what I can say, I'll say, I'm going to ask Rose to say what she wants to say at this point. Why are you on this? Why are you here today?
Well, I think I already sort of answered that.
Well, answer it again. They may hear you this time.
You may.
Oh, well said, my dear. I listened to this one. But the issue was in relationship to Lucy, because you said things that I know you said.
I'm still not quite following what it is that you're
Originally,
really looking
Rose wasn't
for.
going to be on the stage. She was originally started.
Originally, I was just going to be the celebrant, and you two were going to talk, and then we were talking and having conversations, and it was kind of like, oh, you need to converse with us too. So here I am conversing with you two on a Sunday morning instead of doing a regular sermon when I am a very scripted person and you're throwing questions at me.
And you're answering in the moment.
That's true.
From yourself, which is the way we have to build multicultural, multi-relationships, because it's about authentic selves. I didn't comb my hair this morning.
I noticed.
So I revealed the self. And Rose noticed too, and she says, oh, you forgot to comb your hair this morning. I said, no, I didn't. I'm coming as I am. And so I'm letting people see a part of me that you may not know. I haven't groomed and protected and disguised myself. This is what my hair is. Au natural. So that's part of what we're saying, is that why is Buff important to us, which is how we got into that. She says, why are you members of Buff?
And I found out Mel is not a member.
He's a good friend.
For myself, it's like I said, I found sanctuary, and I needed it personally. I was coming from a place where I felt a little lost. My children had moved out. I was on my own that way. And I also felt a little estranged from my community in Skagit County. Ironically, because they had helped me through a very difficult time when I lost my husband, and they'd been there for me, and I associated them with that. So I came here, and I found loving people and spiritual succor and a means to take action and be a part of this community in a meaningful way. So that's why I'm a member of Buff. Mel, why aren't you a member of Buff?
I've only joined officially one Unitarian Universalist congregation, and that was in Rochester, New York.
I thought it was Charleston, West Virginia.
No, I joined as a member of one congregation originally, and that was in Rochester, New York. no, sorry, Stanford.
Oh, I was going to say, we weren't UUs
I
yet
just
in
goes-
Rochester.
Well, I tried, yeah, Rose is correct. The reason I say that, I wanted to join a UU church in Rochester. We went to seminary because I thought that was my pathway into ministry, because that was the Bach Bauer era when it looked like Unitarian Universalists actually were going to lead the charge around integration. And by the time that we got through the 60s and got to the 70s, UUs already moved away from being a place of being supporters and leaders in integration. And so I felt I had lost my capacity of ministry path in Unitarian Universalism. And so we moved into the interfaith network and ministry. And it was in the interfaith network that I found a capacity for ministry and change among Christian congregations that realized that they needed to be in a different relationship with the culture. And there were people of color actually in Christian churches where there weren't in UU churches. And so you could have a relationship to begin talking about how we can visualize and think and create, choose to co-create a multicultural reality. And when I became a leader in the ecumenical interfaith movement. I also integrated schools, helping places, the schools that were readiness to build relationships, to create multiracial places in schools so they could teach people how to be part of a community of everyone. But when I decided to move to Stamford, Connecticut, we had a child. And Rose and I both I was Episcopal, and she was Baptist in terms of her ministry and our upbringing. Though the interfaith gave us a different place to stand. So we came to Stanford. We wanted a place for our child. And the values of Unitarian Universalism that had attracted me when I thought I needed to find a way into ministry were still here, but there were some different understandings of what had happened in the faith that I could begin to see people wrestling with something in a different way and beginning to take responsibility to say, who are we as a people in the 80s? Who is this congregation? Who is this faith in a time of transition when the suburbs were coming and whites were fleeing or moving to the suburbs? And not leaving the inner cities and the places of ministry where the people there didn't look like the people that used to be in those churches, and made the choice to begin to find other places where those people could go with them to be safe. And through the ecumenical movement, it got us there, but I wanted a congregation that said those values. And therefore, we had a daughter.
And we joined the UU congregation in Stamford, Connecticut. And eventually, a few years later, we transferred our ordinations to the Unitarian Universalism. And then Mel was invited to come to the UUA and help lead the charge to become an anti-racist, as we said, anti-racist, anti-oppressive, multicultural. We called it anti-M then. As a way of remembering it, and just for a shorthand. And it was really difficult at first because UUism has such good ideals, and we still are figuring out how to carry them out. And when Mel first started at the UUA, just even trying to talk about racism or use the word race, that was in '87, was difficult because there had been so much woundedness in congregations during the Black Affairs Council, Black-White. That's too much history to get into today. Let's just say it was a difficult time, and we have made a lot of progress in the past 30 years. But I still guess you didn't answer Lucy's question, that you're still a friend here.
Oh, that's because I wanted you to come in first, so now I can say. One of the things is when I moved to the UUA became my congregation. That's what I was there to help pastor, to lead the UUA into a new way of being. And so I was part of everyone's congregation in my mind. And I was accountable, and all the organizations and institutions that functioned in the name of Unitarian Universalism, which included at that time we had separation between, we had the service committee, UU service committee, which had actually a whole separate reality and identity apart from the religious aspect of our faith. And the first thing I said is that we have to connect ourselves. We have to bring our faith and our justice work together because they belong together. And that was part of the work. That we had people, when Rose and I recently, she said we couldn't join as ministers originally because the original rules said that you had to give up your faith relationships of the past to become a Unitarian Universalist minister, when Unitarian Universalist ministers weren't giving jobs to women and people of color if they came in, because congregations weren't selecting them. That's suicidal. So when Gene Pickett asked me would I join at that time, I said,
Gene Pickett was president of the UUA at that time.
Who was a wonderful, it was a shift of the person that began to turn us in another direction. And we're just too long a history to go in all of it, but he was critical. He was a major player in us being able to be here today as we are. But he asked me would I join, would I come on board a couple years before, and I said, you must be kidding, I don't believe in suicide missions. And I said, you're not ready for me. And the other reality is I don't know what you stand for. And that's when he and others went back and began to develop the principles. I said, you don't know, I can't market this. You don't know who you are. And then 2 years, 3 years later, he shifted, Bill Schultz came in, and the question I asked is the same question we're asking today. When they asked me would I be willing to join the staff, I said, I have a question to ask you. What kind of faith do you want to be in the future? What kind of faith do you want to be in the future? And that was a time of church growth and development. And I said, so if you want to be a rapidly growing congregation in faith, you should get more people like you who are here now. That's what you do. That's church growth product. Now, if you want to talk about being something different that our country needs, that our culture has never experienced, with the values that Unitarian Universalism has, then I'll help do that. But you're going to be smaller, possibly, but you're going to be more mighty and more powerful and be an example of what can happen in this country. Now, this was in '87. Now, I'm on board for that. And the reason I say all that, so I have seen this faith grow tremendously in so many ways. We've unraveled the oppression levels of race and gender and orientation, ableism. What we did is we stripped the onions of oppression away from the scales of our eyes that kept us from seeing them. You have done that. Others around our country, in our congregations and pews, have done that. We have been, in many ways, the mini micro experience of what it means to be beloved community. But yet most UUs don't even know it. We are the ones who can help change the world. But you have to do one thing. You got to believe it. Oh, I'm sorry. We believe pretty good. We speak pretty good. Practice it. We have to practice it.
I have an example just today. So last month, we had an amazing discussion workshop on grief. And people really resonated with that and wanted to have another one, maybe a monthly thing. And I talked with Tom, who organized that today, and let him know that this month's coincides with Mel's religious education piece on the history of racism in the UU. And Tom said, oh, that's bad. And let me know that he's going to look into it and maybe see if we can change the time. That's taking action. It's realizing that, oh, maybe I can do something so that people don't have to choose between caring for themselves and caring for everyone. That, to my mind, is part of beloved community. It's standing up, taking action, and it's little things, little shifts.
Yes.
Well, I am also, as a celebrant, the timekeeper for this morning. And I'm just wondering if there is any kind of concluding words from our conversation you want to leave with the congregation this morning.
Well, Mel told me before we started that we need to talk about sanctuary. In light of everything that's happened this week, in light of what Buff can be for our community, it's something that we need to talk about. And for me, I hope that everyone who comes to Buff seeking can find that sanctuary. And I don't think that's happening right now. So what can we do about it?
We need to develop our protection, support, in love, and survival plan. We are at risk. But see, that's nothing. She asked me, so how come you're so chipper doing this?
Yeah, that was my question. Why are you so excited?
Why was I excited when I was on board with the ministerial leadership and the UUA leadership yesterday while they were wrestling with how to talk about the security issues within our congregation? And people were legitimately lifting up their fears and their concerns. And it was my turn, and I simply said, what I am thankful of is I have lived long enough to come to a moment in time that was inevitable in this country, or I was afraid never might happen actually in this country, but has. So this is a moment we get to decide what kind of nation will we be, what kind of faith will we be, where you get to decide what kind of person you're going to be, and how you're going to live in the world as your authentic self if you are committed to beloved community. I celebrate that. This is not a time to be afraid. This is a time to be aware of the dangers and concerns, but as I got taught in my Christian Episcopal church, be not afraid. Be aware of that which endangers you, but be not afraid, or don't let others know that you are. And that's where we need to be. I have lived my life never knowing if I would live this long, and I mean that. My life has been at risk on several occasions, and the blessings of God, the Creator, fate, whatever, I am here. I grew up in a family that taught me that. And therefore, that's the way I have to live my life. You have to decide how you're going to live yours and how you're going to teach your children. And finally, the reason I'm in Buff, because we understand some things that humanity is at risk. Our environment is at risk in a way that even some of our UUs and other places and spaces don't. And we have the responsibility to help them understand that and to lead them in knowing how to bring together the saving of humanity itself in being in right relationship with Mother Earth. So possibility of a future for my grandchild to have grandchildren is made real. Amen. And I can't do that without you. So what I said is that in February, for those of you who want to come and you want to talk real stuff and you want to come with your authentic stuff, you can talk. We can talk. Nothing's off limits if it's real. I'm not going to beat anybody up.
No, he's really nonviolent.
So anyway, that's the invitation. I invite you to come join us. Bring your authentic selves, bring your real concerns and questions, and let's see what we can co-create together.
Could you reiterate the details of the plan?
It's the 4 Sundays in February from noon to 1:30 after the service. 4 sessions on looking at beloved community and looking at some of the UU efforts towards it and what we can do.
And the schedule is next Sunday from noon to 1:30, mixing and huddling the importance of racial identity spaces within Unitarian Universalism, facilitated by Rose. And Sunday, February 9th, same time, noon to 1:30, what is the history of racism and anti-Blackness in Unitarian Universalism? Sunday, February 16th, from noon to 1:30, led by me, what would we need to change about ourselves to co-create an explicitly anti-racist Unitarian Universalism? And finally, on Sunday, February 27th, how do we, as Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship, grow together in beloved community?
You mean led by people here?
Yes.
Oh.
Facilitated discussion. So they're foundational, but we welcome you to come in anytime you are able. And we also, for the parents here, please know that we will have childcare available if we know in advance. So I'll have a table downstairs to register folks to come. You can also register online.
What do we say now? Amen?
Blessed be.
One final thing. It's just interesting to see how the conversations around our kitchen table in the past couple of weeks were somewhat like today and quite a bit different. But one of the things that I was left with from our conversations was the realization that with the current administration coming in and our belief in beloved community, it's kind of like all of us are going to be in the category of being seen as other. We are all going to be othered. And Mel says, be not afraid, and some days I think that's wonderful advice, but my thing is, be afraid and do it anyway and realize that we have a community where we can back each other up. And
that's all.
And we are going to move out of the way so the ushers can now receive our gifts that keep this congregation going and contribute to the development of beloved community among ourselves and in the greater community. And I do believe there's a note in the order of service with information on text to give. Love Somewhere is named after Stephen Biko, founder of the South African Student Organization to Resist Apartheid. A brilliant medical student, Biko was arrested under the South Africa Terrorism Act and killed in police custody while being interrogated. His death was a turning point in the anti-apartheid movement, and his courage continues to inspire. So as we sing, we want to incorporate a little bit of call and response in this song. So I'm inviting you to stand, and before each verse, we have a question, and you can shout out your answers. So our first question is, where is more love needed? Let's sing the first verse.
Gaza.
From Tolkien and Sophia Benton. I wish it need not have happened in my time, said Frodo.
So do I, said Gandalf, and so do all who live to see each time, such times. But that is not for us to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us.
And our UUA president, Sophia Bettencourt, says, we are committed to the struggle ahead and the future we will make together. We will reach out to those leaders and organizations long established in the fight for justice and make our voices heard. Together,
we can build a future where love and justice reign.
Amen. And let's circle around.